friends, and welcome to the next installment of my Crochet With Me series. Now, last winter I did a series of crochet videos, and I will link that playlist for you. If you haven't already checked those out, you can check those out. But it was basically teaching you different techniques and stitches and different information about how to crochet. It was for beginners. Well, when spring and summer came, I got really busy with outdoor things, and I didn't have time to continue that series. So I asked if you would be interested if once the garden had slowed down and it was like approaching fall, if you would want me to continue the crochet series, and many of you said yes, that would be something you would be interested in. So this is the first installment of the fall series. In this series, if you follow along with me and if you do your homework from week to week, by the time this series is done, and I'm not sure how many installments it will take, but by the time this series is done, you will have completed your own Afghan. That is my goal for you, so that you will have a completed project by the time this series is done. Now, the Afghan that I will be personally doing, the completed dimensions will be 41 by 60 inches. So basically a full-size, sit in your chair, snuggle up Afghan, or drape on the back of your couch. It's not big enough to cover a bed. It's not a bedspread. This is just an Afghan. But the pattern that we will be doing together is very versatile. You can, if you're not very accomplished, if you don't think you can complete the entire Afghan of that size in the time allotted, you can very easily reduce this down to a table runner, a lap quilt, a wall hanging, any size that you want to do. Because what we're doing are a series of blocks that we will then crochet together to create the finished product. And your finished product will be as big as however many blocks you crochet. So let me turn this camera around and show you the project that we will be doing together. So this is the Afghan that we will be working on together. It is called Dappled Daisies, and to give credit where credit is due, I got it from this book, Afghan Inspirations, and it was a who was it made by? This designer is Rosetta Harshman. Now, the reason why I chose this particular pattern is for two reasons. To be quite honest, I started my Afghan years ago. I made several blocks, and then life got busy, things changed, circumstances changed, and I put it aside, and I didn't pick it up again until just a few months ago. And then I got to thinking that this would make the perfect Afghan to do in this series. The second reason I chose this pattern is that you do not have to do daisies. If you love daisies, then you can buy the yarn in these colors and make daisies. But I made mine sunflowers, and it was so easy. All you had to do was buy the different colored yarn. I bought, obviously, instead of white, I got yellow, and instead of yellow, I got brown. And I chose it in the warmer tones. And I could have gotten a bright yellow and a bright green, and then my other neutral is an off-white. I could have went with solid white. You know, the choice was endless. And so for you, if you want to do sunflowers, then you can get these colored yarns or something in this these families. If you want to do daisies, then you will get white and yellow. But you can also do Gerbera daisies, which are a multitude of colors. You can choose pink and yellow, purple and yellow, a white center with whatever color petals you want. And it doesn't have to all be the same. You can do a variety of different colors and have an entire flower garden of an Afghan. So the choice of your colors of yarn are completely up to you. And like I said, you can decide if you want to make this a baby quilt, just do 12 blocks. If you want to do a table runner, just do 8 blocks. If you want to do the full-sized quilt, then you will do, I will let you know how many blocks that will be for the completed full-size Afghan. So, the only other thing I want to mention in this introductory video are the supplies and the supply list that you will need, so that next week when you come back you have everything you need so that we can get started on this project together. For the yarn, you will need at least, at the bare minimum, 3 colors, sorry. Yellow, if you're going to do it like this, you'll want white, yellow, and green, 3 colors, because it's the same white that is used as the border, the same yellow as the outside border. So if you want to do it simply and just have as it is, you'll need 3 colors. If you want to do the sunflower one, like I did, you're going to need 4 colors. You'll need the petal color, the flower center, and then two tones for the block itself. So really, it will just kind of depend on what you decide to do as to how much yarn you're going to need. If you decide to do the flower garden one, basically if you already have a yarn stash, you can just use scraps and make your flowers with your scraps. But for the background, because all of this background, you're going to need 29 ounces of worsted weight yarn, okay? 29 ounces. And that would be also enough to do the white petals if you decide to do the daisy one. Then for the green and the yellow, you will need 7 ounces each of worsted weight yarn for the green and the yellow. I would suggest that you get those Super Saver balls of yarn from Walmart, worsted weight, and 1 ball of yellow will be enough to do all of the centers, or whatever color you decide to do for your centers, and 1 will be and it will also be enough to do this outside border. And then 1 of those Super Saver balls of whatever color you decide to do this background will be enough for this. And then what you'll have to do is then just decide, make the decision of what colors you're going to want for your flowers, and then just buy the yarn accordingly. But just make sure that all of the yarn is the same weight, that it's all worsted weight yarn. And then the only other thing you're going to need is a tapestry needle or a yarn needle. It's basically a needle that has a wide eye and a blunt tip. And then the size hook you're going to need is a G, or the size to obtain gauge. The gauge is 15 stitches equals 4 inches. So just do 15 stitches, and if it reaches 4 inches, then you know that your G hook is the right size. But since this is an Afghan, gauge isn't all that important. To be quite honest, I never check gauge on Afghans. I just know how I crochet. If you know that you're a tight crocheter, then you might want to go up to an H hook. If you know you're a really, really loose crocheter, then you might want to go down 1 size to an F hook. But other than that, I really wouldn't worry about gauge too much. In this project, it says that the skill level is average. So if you are very, very new and have never, ever crocheted before, you may want to go back to my other playlist and practice up your stitches and get familiar with crocheting, and then come back and join this project at a later date. I will have all of these videos in a playlist for you for easy access for those who want to do this project. So there you go, friends. That is the project that we're going to be working on. And when you follow along, if you follow along and do exactly like I tell you, then by the end of this series, you will have a completed project. I will have a list of everything that you need to get in the description box below, so that if you didn't catch it when I was telling you in the video, if you didn't get a chance to write it down, just look down in the description box and you will find a list of everything that you need to complete this project. So mark your calendar, go out, go shopping, get all the supplies you need, and meet me back here next week, next Tuesday, for the very first installment of how to get started on making this beautiful flower Afghan. Thanks so much for watching, friends, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.